Renee Gurneau, again, uh, prior President Red Lake Nation College or University, and also part of the Three Fires Medewan Medicine Society.
I just had a couple comments, some things I was thinking about pressing on my mind, especially in response to what Randy was saying about leadership. And I just want to share a little bit with you about Red Lake, where I come from. There's kind of this attitude out there that Red Lakers are always ready to throw down. You know, or Tom will say, oh, Renee's got this Red Lake attitude, and then I get all proud, you know. But I'll tell you, it's real, and I'll tell you where it comes from. In 1887, the federal government of the United States was really pushing for something called the Dawes Act. Everybody knows what that is, right? What it did was to take reservation land and break it up into individual land ownership, which is antithetical to indigenous thought. So, and they put a lot of pressure, and it was really just a big land grab, because by the time the Indian Reorganization Act came around, most of the tribal nations had lost 90% of their land base. I know in Leech Lake, which is near us, and White Earth, which is near us, they lost 94% of their land base through the Dawes Act. We had a chief at that time, was an old man. He was 84 years old, and he was real tall. He was a real imposing man. His name was Medweganonan, and that name means he who is spoken to, which begs the question, who's speaking to him, right? So it had to be spirits. That's where he got his name. And he was just this real tall man, a long gray hair. And for 6 days during that time, the United States government, the Army, the Catholic Church, the Indian agents, and all of these authorities, they pounded on our chiefs, pounded them nonstop for 6 days. And we had 7 chiefs at the time, and some of them responded. They would talk about, what our values, our relationship to the land. And Medweganonan didn't say anything, but he was the Grand Chief at the time. And at the end of 6 days, pretty much all of the tribes in the United States, except for, I think, Warm Springs, and then the ones in the Southwest, which have a different political history. But, most of the tribes in the U.S. were forced to adopt this Dawes Act. And, right, Dean? Dean knows this history. So what happened, at the end of these 6 days, they had the guns pointed at people, and the church was going, you have to do this, you're going to cause poverty for your people, your children are going to go to hell. And they're going, what's that? Where's that? Is that a location or what? So at the end of those 6 days, Medweganonan didn't interact with them. He just sat and listened for 6 days patiently, and the other chiefs responded. But for 6 days, they pounded us and pounded us and pounded us, threatened and threatened, and threatened that we were going to get killed, threatened that the government was going to come down and kill us, that our children were going to starve to death, they were going to go to hell. And at the end of that 6 days, Medweganonan said, no. And he said, I can't sell my land to you because it's not mine. He said, it belongs to my generations. And I think about that, because that's how much he loved me. So when Randy was talking about that, we need to be thinking in those terms and in very practical ways, and we need to make those stands in ways that have impact real directly to say, to do something for your generations. Here's an example of how that happened, and it's an example of resistance to a power structure that threatened, they just flat out threatened to kill us all. And he said, Medweganonen said, well, you're going to have to, because I'm not going to change my mind about this. He said, because if you might as well kill us anyway, because if you change our relationship to the land, we will no longer be Anishinaabe. And so he said, no, I can't give you this land because it belongs to Renee, a couple generations down the road. So that's how much he loved me. So I just wanted to tell you that there are precedents. It can happen, especially too, I'm thinking about those people that are marching over in Tuba City right now. Just, what that Betty Ford say? Just say no. But it can happen. They're continually threatening, and the risks are high. You can die from it, as you all well know. But what else are you going to do? Miigwech.
Thousand